Welcome to our Module 8. So now you've done your research, you have found your sources, and you've submitted your research report. If you haven't yet, do that as soon as possible, because now it's time to kind of shift gears from being a researcher to being a writer of our research, which is kind of an awkward move. So first of all, make sure that you go back in here and open up the assignment for Project 3 and remind yourself, I'll open it really quickly, remind yourself what we are doing. So we've done the research, we're at part 2, and I've kind of outlined a little bit some of the moves that we're going to be making in each of these sections of the essay. Remember, your entire goal is to inform your reader on the interesting things you have found out about your topic. So you're not arguing, you're not sharing an opinion, you're not calling them to action, you're not seeking them or trying to get them to change in any way. You're simply informing them. And so this is going to be a 1,000-word essay where you incorporate or you kind of build on what you have learned from your research in a way that identifies some of the key things that you want to share with your reader from that research, and you present that as your information that you are sharing. Then, and this is kind of the awkward part, then you are going to bring in the sources where you found that as your backup. I know that's a little awkward, but that's kind of how it works. We learn from sources from other experts in the field, but then we take ownership of that information, we present it to our reader, and we use those sources or those authors now as our backup, as our support and evidence. And so read over this. Synthesis simply means that we are taking separate pieces of information from different sources and that we're bringing them together in a new thing. We're creating something new out of separate parts, and that new thing is going to be an expository essay. So here are the details, and make sure that you reach out if you have any questions on any of that. Let's get back into an overview of our Week 8. Don't be too afraid of all of this content. I am sharing with you a lot of resources, a lot of handouts, and some really important lecture videos on how to use that content and coming up with a plan for this essay. First of all, I have it's a good and very simple student example of the type of essay this is going to look like, so you can see the basics. It's a good essay to show you the basic sections of what is required here. So read that over. Right here, I'm not going to get too into it because I have a really important video that I want you to watch here. But the first thing that we're going to do to kind of organize all of this information we have gathered is to map it out. Bring it all together into one piece of paper, really one place where we can look at it all at the same time, so we can determine what are the important points that we want to share with our reader. So right here I have a template. I'm going to just bring that open really quickly. This is a template and a little video on that template. I also have a template or a video on the type of thesis statement that will be used in an informative essay where we are providing new information on a common topic. This is really helpful. I encourage you to read that over. Let's see, and right here is a method of organization. It's called the MEAT method. How to organize this information. Remember to present your main ideas, present evidence to support those main ideas. From that evidence will come from the sources, and then the important next step, which is often overlooked, is the explanation of that evidence that we have brought forward and how it ties to the main thesis. Read that over, and that will help kind of influence this kind of outline as a plan for your essay. This is a fantastic TED Talk, and in TED Talks they use the exact same kind of method of organization as we do in essay writing. And this is a TED Talk where the author, Malcolm Gladwell, or speaker, takes a very common story that has become very metaphorical in our society of David and Goliath, and he presents new information about it. And so look at how he organizes this. Watch the essay or watch the TED Talk. Look at how he organizes it and let that influence your plans for your own essay. And some great handouts on writing introductions and writing conclusions, and using topic sentences. So all of these things are just things that will help you organize your essay, formatting that works cited page, what it means to revise, all of these important things. And so now we get into the deliverables for this week, the assignments for this week. And so this first thing I want you to do is to take that research information map that I showed. There's a video earlier that talks about this, and you are going to use that to map out the key points that you have found in your research from each source, from each author. Then you will have that information in front of your face, and you'll be able to see the key points that you want to then share with your audience. Then we're getting right into, there's time between here. It's not as quick as me clicking the next button. But then we're going to get into the peer review, and you're going to come up with your rough draft, and it starts Friday the 12th at 10 o'clock in the morning, okay? And so it's a quick turnaround because of the nature of an 8-week class, but you're going to post that rough draft to this discussion board by Friday morning at 10 o'clock, and then soon thereafter, like 5 minutes after, Canvas is going to automatically give you a peer's paper to review. Once you get that peer's name, you might have to refresh the page if it's been just sitting open. The name of your peer, your classmate, will appear right at the top. Once you get that name, you will go down the discussion board and you will find their rough draft where they posted it. You will open it up and read it, and you will fill out this worksheet, giving them feedback on their rough draft. Please keep in mind that everyone is only going to get one peer assigned to them. That means that if you don't follow through and actually give your peer some feedback, they are not going to get any peer feedback. Nobody else is going to swoop in and do it for you. That's why it's so important to follow through. That's also why I give so many points for this. Everyone will get 5 points for submitting a rough draft on time, but then they'll get an additional 15 points for actually giving that person assigned to them some feedback. All right? If you happen to get your draft in late or you miss the automatic pairing, simply go down into the discussion board and pick someone, and you can still get most of the points for a feedback. All right, for your feedback. Other than that, the next thing that we're going to be doing is submitting your rough draft. All right, so make sure that you, let me get back here, make sure that you reach out to me if you have any questions on any of this, and good luck.